So, question answer. First question is how to believe in love in a couple forever if everything and everyone is always changing. Yeah, things are changing, but this does not mean to say things do not continue. Like the stream, the water which starts from the mountain, snow mountain, and goes down all the way to the ocean. It's changing, but it's continuing. Like for example, yourself, you are changing, but changing does not mean you don't continue. That's why we talk about future lives. Okay? When you were a small kid, since that time until now you've been changing, but still you say I'm that person, you see, because of the continuity, because of the same stream. So similarly, if it is a pure love, then it should continue if possible. But the question is whether we can, from our side, we have that capacity to give that continuous love. It's not just the possibility, but whether you can give such a unchanging love, because you are always changing all the time. So it's up to you whether you can do that or not. But there is a possibility. There is a possibility. But if it is impure love, mixed with a lot of attachment, then even if it continues, it's not of much help, not much use. Okay? How to erase the feeling of jealousy in the love relationship according to Tibetan Buddhism? Jealousy is not the solution. Therefore, I told you this verse by Shantideva. If it is something we can change, don't worry because we can change it. If it is something we cannot change, no use worrying because we can change it. So this is not only a Buddhist teaching, but even the famous Greek scholar Heraclitus, who came around 50 AD, after the death of the Buddha, the Jesus, 50th century AD. Even this great thinker, he said the same thing. In one of his prayers, he said, grant me the serenity, grant me the serenity or the power to accept those that I cannot change. And give me the courage to change those things which I can change. And give me the wisdom to differentiate between the two, what you can change and what you cannot change, you see. Okay? So therefore, what I'm saying is whether it's jealousy or attachment or any negative emotion, they're not much of use. That's why we are saying that you should get rid of this. For example, if your neighbor has bought a BMW car and you get jealous, and if you get jealous, just by getting jealous, you will not get BMW car. It will only make you unhappy. That's what we are trying to do in accordance with His Holiness Dalai Lama's advice. when dealing with the Chinese brutalities. Like for example, when the Chinese leaders do something wrong, if I get angry here, okay, and say all the bad things, get very angry here, will that solve the problem? Will that bother the Chinese leader? No. They may be enjoying, they may be watching a movie or sipping a cup of nice coffee. I'm suffering here. So if you develop these negative emotions, you will suffer, not the other people. Okay? So therefore jealousy is no use. If you think in this way, then you can get rid of the jealousy. Okay? So only 2 questions? Okay, some questions now? Yeah?
I have a question. I left it in another place, but still I didn't get an answer that I could understand correctly, so I'm asking you again this question. You said to accept things and to try to work through accepting things and try to change yourself. But if sometimes there is a situation that there are things that you don't want to accept, you want to change them. Like, my example was like Martin Luther King with the black people, or Gandhi. So I'm trying to see the right approach. Where do you know how to do it and what to do and how to do it?
Exactly.
Here in Israel.
Exactly.
Our Prime Minister.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is, in terms of your personal happiness, what I was saying was, in terms of your personal happiness and peace, the main source is your own attitude. So you should change. That's what I'm saying. Okay? So for your personal peace and happiness to try to change other people may not be the right way. That's what I'm saying. But that is not to say that you cannot change people. I'm not saying that. Okay, you can change people. But again, you have to see whether you can really change or not, whether it's really workable or not. So there are many areas where you can make a difference in other people's life. So that's fine. But there are many areas where you can't change. Okay? But still, if you, since you said about this Martin Luther King, I mean, he was a great, not only thinker, but he was a great, pragmatic leader. Very recently, I translated into Tibetan the letter, 15-20 pages, that he wrote from prison, It's very moving, very moving. So he was really like trying to shake the conscience of the people on the higher circle, who are very numb, who does not feel for the people, who become very arrogant. So he was mobilizing people to make them but his method is not with hatred, just like Buddhist teaching. His method is not with hatred, not with anger, but he was saying that you should change because what you are doing is wrong. See? So that is the thing, you see. So when you follow the path of truth, justice, honesty, and mobilize people with proper understanding, it can make difference. It can change people, you see. So that, of course, is possible. But when I was talking about changing your own attitude rather than trying to change others, I'm talking primarily in terms of your gaining long-lasting peace and happiness. Okay? So there, just by changing other people, it's not sure that you get long-lasting peace and happiness. You see. Okay? Yeah?
Question that's kind of connected.
Yeah.
I feel like ever since I've been practicing Dharma, Buddhism, that I feel a lot more self-doubt. Like everything I do, I kind of have to think 10 times, is this from ego, is this from attachment? And I feel like I'm avoiding doing a lot of things that I would have done quite automatically. And
Very good.
Is it good? Because
Very good.
But then you don't know if you're doing something
Very
right.
good, very good in the sense. Because it's not just Buddhist teaching, but even otherwise, you are a rational human being. So therefore, you really need to think whether this is right, wrong, harmful, not harmful, good for the long run or not. Of course, everybody has to think like that. But there is problem, there is difficulty because not everybody thinks like that, you see. So many people ask that question, that in today's world, there's negative competition, whoever tells a little bit of lie, all those wrong things, they get the higher post. We are left, those who are right, they are left behind. Those are the problems that we experience. But still, as I said earlier, when it comes to doing good things, it's not the question of following the majority. You see, I'm not saying that in the name of following justice, you starve yourself, you become a beggar. I'm not saying things like that. And in fact, as I said earlier, if you follow the path of truth and honesty with wisdom and with knowledge, then you will find a way, just like His Holiness Dalai Lama. He's a refuge. No country, no home. You see? And he's fighting with this mighty empire, the Chinese empire. Even the rest of the world, they are now trying to flatter the Chinese for doing business, you see. So even that mighty emperor has to think several times how to react with the Dalai Lama, who is simple, humble, always following the path of the truth, always trying not to say anything bad unnecessarily against the Chinese people, always saying Chinese people are also brothers and sisters. So he is not against any people. This is a very good question because you reminded me give a good answer. Because one very important thing that is taught in Buddhism is you should be against the negative emotions in the person and not the person. Not the person. Because the person, you always should give an opportunity for the person to change. Because somebody has done something wrong. Because of that, if you just bring the image of the person down, saying that he is bad, she is bad, you are not giving opportunity for that person to change. But instead of that, if you say that, okay, you made a mistake, what you did was wrong, and we also make mistakes. It's not only you, we also make mistakes. So it's important that you acknowledge your mistake, and we know that you are a good person. Everybody makes mistake. If you say things like that, then that person also get that encouragement to become good, So that's important, to make a distinction. And we are very clever people. When we do something wrong, we make that distinction. Oh, sorry, we say, sorry, I made this mistake. By saying that, you are saying that, sorry, I made this mistake, I didn't want to do that, I'm a good person, but it happened for me, so excuse me, sorry, you say that, you see. But when it is done by other people, you don't make that distinction. You immediately say, oh, she is bad. Oh, he is bad. So that's the problem in the society. We never give opportunity for people to change, to become better, you see. If you already put them in a different class, bad people, then say, okay, I'm a bad person, so what matter? I keep on doing the same thing, you see. So it's important to make that distinction. Okay? Yeah.
But sometimes it feels like thinking too much about what's right and what's wrong. It's taking you from the present.
Yeah.
Your mind is.
Yeah. But there are many things which you can immediately know. So there you don't have to think. For example, if there is an apple here for you to eat, is this eatable or not? Maybe there is an insect inside. If you think like that, that is stupid. You see, you can just quickly do, then you see this is okay. You keep a bite and you can see how good it is, So you don't have to think on this. Many of these things which is obvious, manifest, you take direct action immediately. So therefore in Buddhism we talk about 3 levels of phenomena. Manifest or obvious phenomena, which we can directly see, directly hear, directly touch, directly smell, directly taste. Obvious. So there, You should follow your perception, not follow what other people say. Because it's something that you can go and see what's happening, what is right, what is wrong. So you yourself see that and then tell the news. It's correct news because you have seen it, you have yourself heard it. But many a times the problem is we don't make that effort to see the things or hear the things directly by oneself, but we simply, listen to somebody's, which is not so sure whether correct or not. Then we spread a lot of rumor and create a lot of misunderstanding among the people. So those things which you can directly see and touch and feel and taste, you do that. You don't have to think too much about these things. Then there is a second level of phenomena, which is called slightly hidden phenomena. Slightly hidden phenomena, which you cannot directly see, which you cannot directly touch. But you can find out about that through inference, by inferring, inferential cognition, through reasoning. Like for example, if you see smoke on the top of that mountain very far from here, you don't see the fire. So how can you prove that there is a fire? That you can prove by seeing the smoke. Oh, there is a fire with the smoke. So you infer those things. You need to put some reason, okay? Then there is a third category of phenomena, which is called completely hidden phenomena, which you cannot directly see, which you cannot use logic directly also, indirectly maybe. Directly you cannot put reason. So how can you know those things? That you can know by listening to somebody, not everybody, somebody who is reliable. Like for example, if somebody asks you, when are you born? Yeah, you are born in the when? What time?
When?
Yeah.
1988.
1988. How do you know that you are born in 1988? Have you seen? Huh?
No,
Then how do you know?
my parents told me.
How can you rely on your parents? See? So indirectly you can put some reason. Indirectly, I can rely on my parents because they are compassionate, they are kind to me, they don't get anything by telling wrong about my birth date. So you indirectly put a lot of reasons. But directly you rely on their testimony, what they say. Okay? So there is no other method. So that's the way to find things. So to use logic and reason does not mean to say that you develop all kinds of suspicions about everything. That's different. Okay? That means you apply the right reasoning at the right time. Okay? And then normally we get some idea. With very short time you can get some idea. Okay? Except some which may need a lot of thinking. But our problem is not with many deep things, but many things that happens in our daily life on a regular basis. So those things we can just use our human common sense and find those things out. Yeah.
How you add to that conversation the spontaneously,
Huh?
spontaneity.
Huh?
The spontaneity, how you add to this conversation. There is the essence of to be spontaneous for whatever we... Spontaneous.
Yeah, spontaneous. It comes. It comes automatically. It's kind of intuition. Okay? Like for example, somebody is hitting you. Without philosophically thinking, you will protect your head. You will fight back or you will run away. You will not be sitting there, what should I do? He is really going to hurt me or not. You will not sit there thinking. We are not talking about thinking in that way, you see. So depending upon the situation, you see, you act quickly or slowly depending upon the situation. Okay? Yeah?
You said that in our nature we are like a Buddha and it's like full of joy and this is the nature, and then above this there are a lot of obstruction and things that like a cloud.
Yeah.
So if I think about it, it should be like an instinct. Like if you touch something which is fire, you will take your hand.
Hand away.
So if you're going to do something that is not good, like betting, you should, like for like instinct, you should not do it. So how come we become so with so many things about this?
That's what I'm saying. There are certain things which are obvious. Like the fire is an obvious thing. So as soon as you come closer, there is an immediate reflex. It's related not only to the mind but also to the brain, physical reflex. But then there are many which are not so obvious. It does not directly affect the brain and does not send the impulses immediately. So there, unless you think a little bit more, you may not be able to figure out. Okay? For example, like even with suffering, we have different types of suffering. The first is called suffering of suffering. That means things like headache or stomach ache. These are on the level of very clear, obvious feeling. So you immediately feel that you are having headache. That suffering you know, because that is more gross, so you easily know. But then when it goes to a little bit more subtle, like suffering of change, the second level of suffering is called suffering of change, which is also suffering, but normally we don't pay much attention to this. We don't regard this as suffering. For example, now you are sitting for this last session of question answer. So when you first came in, you may already be a little bit tired because you've been sitting quite long the whole day, but still because you had some gap during the dinner, so it should be all right when you come in. Okay, you sit down, maybe not so bad. But now when you keep on sitting more and more, and especially you have set the time, 9 o'clock finish, 7:30 to 9 finish. Okay, so at 9 if I don't stop, I speak a little bit longer, I'm guarantee that you will start looking your watch. Some of them might even do like this. to remind me that time is up because you can't stand now. You see? So what I'm saying is, originally when you sat down, there was some comfortable feeling, happy feeling. But the more and more you see it, then you feel like standing, relaxing. People start doing like this. Like this, you see. So that means that the original kind of feeling that you had was not genuine happiness. It was only a feeling of, the changed state. Because you have been, walking or whatever, not sitting. So when you sat down, you felt there is happiness. But that is not genuine happiness. Therefore you sit a little bit more, it changes into suffering. Then you feel like getting up. When you get up, oh good, your happiness. But that happiness also not reliable, because when you stand a little bit longer, then you feel like sitting, you see. So this kind of second level of suffering, we don't pay much attention. So that's why we run after money, run after relationship, run after fame and name, not knowing that they will change and produce more suffering, you see. Okay? So you seek happiness, peace from those that are immortal, that are impermanent, that are transient. And when they change, then you feel miserable, you feel unhappy. So right in the beginning, if you had developed that understanding, you will not experience those sufferings, because okay, I got this car, nice car, but very soon it's going to run out and change. It's understandable. You take it for granted. You use it, okay, then okay. You see? With relationship also, it's like that, you see. But if you don't have that understanding, then you ask these kind of questions. How can you, how to believe in love in a couple forever? Unchanging. See? So there's the thing. So the second level of suffering is called suffering of change. So we are not, for a Buddhist practitioner, good Buddhist practitioner, we are not looking for suffering of change, which looks happiness, but it is suffering. You will have suffering with the changed state. So what we are looking for is almost like permanent happiness. Because this fleeting happiness, fleeting peace, how many times we have experienced? According to Buddhism, we say that you have experienced this kind of superficial, fleeting happiness countless lives. There cannot be a wealth which you have not enjoyed. There may not be a relationship which you have not maintained. But where are you today? In the same level, not much progress. Again you are going for the same thing. Not being able to come out of the cycle. So therefore the Buddhist teaching says, please realize that you are not going to get that long-lasting peace and happiness with this kind of way of thinking and life. You need to come out of this cycle. That means you need to completely get rid of the afflictive emotions and the actions that are a result of those afflictive emotions. Then you will be able to achieve a state of happiness from where there will be no falling back. Otherwise you will fall back, you see. So that's the thing. That's what we are trying to achieve. Yeah.
You talked about the law of karma and dependency. When it comes to my close environment, it's quite easy to see. With friends and family. I wonder when it comes to the mosquito I killed last night or Nepal's human beings, if there is a rational way to look at it, or it's maybe just in believing in this law it makes it true?
It's not just believing in it. It is the law of nature that whatever you do will have its consequences. If you kill a mosquito, you will have to experience the fruit. If you kill a human being, of course you will have to experience the fruit. It is not that if you kill a human being, you have to experience the fruit, bad fruit. If you kill an animal, you don't have to experience the fruit because you want to eat the meat. There's no justification. You eat meat, whatever you do, but the consequences will be there. So therefore I was saying that prevention is better than cure. So with mosquitoes also, mosquitoes come only when the area is dirty and not clean, you see. So the most important thing is to clean the area. For example, in Israel I heard the mosquitoes don't carry malaria. Is that true?
Yes.
So it's a big, very good news. In many other countries, not only you get malaria, but you get dengue fever and so many things from malaria, you see. Within few hours people can die. But probably because of the climate or cleanliness, you don't have those things, you see. So that's what I'm saying. So there's no need to kill them if they are not going to, make you sick or ill. If they sing here, it may disturb your sleeping a little bit, but that's not a big problem. And even there, you make sure that your doors and windows are properly, netted, so that these things are not there. Okay, because the reason why we experience negative consequences is that everybody likes their life, including the mosquito. They all have a wish to live for whatever reason, you see. So suddenly you end up their life, you will have negative experiences. But that is not to say, that's not saying that, okay, you killed one mosquito, so you are bad, you will go to hell. I'm not saying that, you see. Many people immediately, get depressed with this kind of things, They take the white and the black